Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
You sound better on this show, John.
Yeah, I just hawked a big loogie. So.
You blew the pipes clean?
Yep. I used up about 10 tissues in about 5 minutes.
I always enjoy good pipe cleaning.
Yeah.
Nothing better
usually
than
use 10
clean
tissues
pipes.
or more.
It depends. It depends how long it's been since I've cleaned my pipes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes more.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, it's chunkier, so that can blow through the tissue more.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've got pretty good velocity. I get when I sneeze, it's quite the experience.
Are you a
I know
rapid?
Scott's not entering this conversation.
I'm
no
trying.
velocity whatsoever. No.
I'm wondering if he's a rapid sneezer though. Like, do you fire off like 6 in a row?
I'll fire off 6 in a row, but they're it's more like a revolver than it is a semi-auto.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
When I get like an allergy attack going, but it's so loud that sometimes it just like freaks people out.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh my God.
You can't stifle yourself just a little bit?
Sometimes I can. Sometimes it's just impossible. And it just comes, ripping out.
You scare the crap out of your wife. You like wake her up.
It'll wake people up. The whole family, it's still just like, geez, Dad. And it's like, I can't help it. I sneeze. It's the way I sneeze. I don't have this little delicate sneeze. I imagine, Scott, you probably like, chew. That's it, huh?
No, I'm one of those people who like suppresses it. What is up with those people? Let it out, baby.
Right. And you just like your emotions. You
right.
You
need to go to a therapist to sneeze, for God's sake. Just sneeze.
Yep, exactly.
You're going to blow your freaking eyeball out of your socket, man.
Now, who is it? Oh, no, I think it's my attorney. Sneezes like, it should just be like, and it's like a cartoon sneeze. It's like a fake. I thought she was faking it at first. She'd be like,
but like, then does she get in the courtroom and just tear people's heads off?
Right. But I'm just thinking, what human being sneezes like that? That's doing nothing. The whole purpose is to blow the schmutz out of the tubes in your head, right?
Yes. I'm telling you, there's like some deep-seated psychological issues there. You can tell a lot about somebody by how they sneeze. I think we're really onto something here.
So you're thinking, besides my excellent health from being stabbed with larger needles as a child,
right,
that I have no mental issues because I sneeze very freely.
Do you see the through line here? Exactly.
I think I am a well-adjusted, healthy individual.
That's all that character.
That must be.
It all comes out with every sneeze.
I've got character, and I'm healthy and well-adjusted. Huh? How about that, John?
That sounds great.
This turned out to be a great show already.
Yeah. Well, I know another was happy, well-adjusted John. In fact, our good friend John Blickman.
Oh yeah. I bet you John Blickman rips him off.
I was going to say, you ever heard him sneeze?
Maybe. I don't know.
I wonder what it's like.
I've heard him cry. I've heard him scream.
Yeah.
I've heard him laugh. Yeah, no, I haven't heard him sneeze. I don't know.
Pretty sure I felt him sneeze a couple of times.
Back of your head gets wet? Yeah, or what?
Yeah.
No. Our fine sponsor and friend, John Blickman. He has been making great, innovative pieces of brewing art for your brew day for quite a while now. Longer than he's been sponsoring the show, which has been a long time. Huh? Yes, John?
Yes, that's right. Yes. This signal's breaking up today quite a bit.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe it's the schnot in your head. Yeah. I hear some interference on the line as you mention it. So check them out, BlickmanEngineering.com. They are making great stuff to make your brew day even better. All right, today we're going to do a Q&A show. Now, these questions, we get them in by you guys emailing brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com. And you send in all your questions. If you got something for simple, short questions, just send them in or label them Q&A. If you've got show ideas, label them show ideas. And we actually go through these things and pull them out. And today, we've collected a number of questions into dealing with Brett fermentation and lacto as well. Brett and lacto fermentations. I thought that was a good combo.
It is, too. It's good, too. I just coming off the sour hour that we did a couple days ago with Jay Goodwin, so I'm getting my fill of sour bug talk lately.
Yeah. I was thinking, what does Jay know about Brett and lacto on the sour hour? I mean, really, come on. You ought to be sending your questions to us.
Yeah, I mean, that guy
we'll hand them to Jay.
That guy has to write a cheat sheet on his wrist like a quarterback, and every time somebody asks something, he has to read through it, and it's a mess. Yeah,
call me up, text me. Yeah,
that's why we take such long breaks on that show.
Right, there you go.
Jamil, I need answers.
All right, well, let's crack right into it with the first question.
Dean from Portland. He blows some smoke up your asses for a couple of sentences, and he says, now for my question. In your opinions, are there any tips in controlling house bugs that are occupying my fermentation room? My room, it's the basement. It's finished and clean, though I have exposed wooden beams directly above me on the ceiling, kind of a vaulted ceiling. I suspect I have a large population of either Lactobacillus, Brett, PDO, or maybe all three in the wood, I guess. Despite excessive sanitation practices and attention to detail and just tons of cleaning, I'm constantly battling infections in most of my brews. I've stopped fermenting in buckets. I've moved up to a 15-gallon Sankey fermenter for my 10-gallon brews. And despite the stainless steel and steam sterilizing, I still seem to be letting in what I believe to be lacto into my ferments. The only time I don't detect lacto in my beers is when I ferment in the dreaded glass carboys or better bottles. Obviously, my Sankey's faulty somewhere. And I say dreaded because I hate those damn things. Too fragile, too difficult to clean. Worst of all, the siphoning nightmare. I've never been good at that. So I put ball valves on my spigots, on my blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so any advice dealing with the strong house bugs?
All right. So a couple of things speak to me on this. Is first off, the way that you are getting, all right, you've got this environment. You've got your wood beams in your basement, and there's probably mold growing and cockroaches and all that stuff. The way that stuff gets into your beer is either you're touching a surface with wild yeast bacteria on it and then touching the wort with that or the beer with that, or it's being transported like on dust motes. They won't travel very far, but if you flash, shine light through a large portion of air, you'll see little bits of dust everywhere in the air. No matter where you go, you're going to see that. Those bits of dust, that's carrying the wild yeast and the bacteria. So you just want to avoid that stuff falling on your clean surfaces or your sanitized surfaces. You want to avoid that dropping into your wort, something like that. So
I wonder if that Sankey fermenter, if that's kind of like an open fermentation, or if it's got an airlock on it.
I'm guessing he's put an airlock on it. So, things on the beams and stuff like that, on the ceiling, cobwebs, stuff like that. As long as you're not disturbing it, it tends not to, drop down into the beer and cause a problem.
Yeah, it may be, just walking along, say, old carpet that's on the floor and scuffing that up and getting dust and bacteria from that.
But I don't think that's his real issue. I think the real issue is in what he's pitching. So how he's pitching or what he's pitching or where he's getting it from or how he's growing it up. That's the issue. And I bet you this, that when he's doing a carboy's worth or a smaller fermenter worth, he might be producing his yeast one way, or he might be just using a smack pack or two. When he does the Sankey fermentation, I mean, if he's doing like a 15.5 and he's doing a double batch, maybe he's growing his yeast up, and his process of growing the yeast up, in that process or wherever he's getting that yeast from, if he's getting it from another source like a brewery or something like that, maybe that's contaminated.
That's a good point, yeah.
So in other words, he's pitching his own contamination right into the vessels he just spent 2 hours scrubbing?
More likely. That's where people contaminate their beer often, is in their yeast. So one thing I discovered is that breweries that most commercial breweries, unless they have a lab, their yeast is full of bacteria and wild yeast.
Really?
Yep. Unless they're sending all their stuff out for lab work, it's just, I've seen it multiple times.
What percentage is sending their stuff out for lab work? Ish. It's a 50-50?
Oh, probably like 5%.
So almost nobody.
10%, yeah.
Really?
Right. Very, very few, it seems. So the big part of it is, get the beer through, get it consumed early, fresh, quick and often. And then it's not a big deal. If the amount of bacteria is low, the amount of wild yeast is low, and you get it through the system quick, by the time it grows, and you keep it cold, by the time it grows up to anything, that's a problem, it takes a while. So it's good for a few months, maybe.
Wow.
But it's in there.
Do you think most of the breweries know that?
I think a lot of them have no idea. Well, and this is the thing that's really shocked me to this point about the commercial beer industry. So I think commercial beer industry is making great beer, and there's lots of great beers out there. But I am surprised at how many of them have yeast and bacteria, or wild yeast and bacteria in their pitches.
Would there, without naming names, I mean, would there be breweries where we would be shocked to learn that that's going on?
Absolutely.
And like, wow, this is one of the best IPAs on the market, but everyone's just drinking it fresh, and so
Absolutely.
nobody knows.
Absolutely.
That's wow, my world is shattered.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And again, a little bit contamination, no big deal. It just depends on what you're doing. But if you take so if this guy's getting a pitch from his local brewery, and then growing that up, the way that he's growing it up may be actually, giving that bacteria a chance to further grow, or maybe he's storing it away where the bacteria is growing off of the spent beer and yeast residue as well. Mm-hmm. So that's a possibility. Now, that's assuming that he's getting a pitch for a bigger batch. I mean, he might be just doing a 5-gallon batch in this bigger, fermenter, and maybe there is cracks in. But he's saying that he was sanitizing with steam. I mean, if you take that Sankey fermenter and you put a gallon of water in it, and then you put on your burner and boil that water, I'm telling you that thing's clean. The whole metal gets hot enough that it's going to pasteurize anything that's in there. So that's not the issue. So I don't think that's the issue between the Carboy and the Sankey. I think, again, it's coming from the pitch. So when he's doing these smaller 5-gallon batches, he's probably just buying a vial of White Labs or a smack pack of Y yeast and then dumping that in, and that's it. On his bigger batches, he may be taking that and making a starter. Maybe the way he's making his starter is contaminating it. So a lot of potential possibilities, but that is the one that really sticks out for me.
That was an earth-shattering response. You just blew my mind.
There you go. Hey, that's what I do. That's what I'm here for, man. All right, let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more of your questions right after this.
Tonight is is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
My father, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra-precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Starting a brewery is not for the faint of heart. It's definitely a labor of love. If you're not going to give it 100%, don't bother.
Brewers Publications is proud to present the Brewers Association Guide to Starting Your Own Brewery by Elysian Brewing's Dick Cantwell. Business plans, financing, sustainability, and more. This book takes you through the planning and execution needed to turn the dream of craft brewing into a reality. Whether you want to open a brew pub or a packaging brewery, learn the professional side of ingredients, wastewater, quality, and how to build the craft brewery of the future. The Brewers Association Guide to Starting Your Own Brewery, available now from Brewers Publications and brewerspublications.com.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. So how many breweries do you think I pissed off by saying that?
Well, 95% of them.
95%
by your math, yeah.
Well, I'm not saying these people are making bad beer. There are breweries out there making bad beer, but the majority of them making great beer. But the pitch is not 100% clean. I mean, that's one of the things that I think, as a home brewer, you have this vision that their beer's really good, their pitch must be perfect, and it more often than not it isn't. So if you're getting a pitch, use it right away and then dump it. I think, and for all the commercial brewers out there, every beer you make, spend the money to send off a sample to White Labs or somewhere else to have it tested, and they'll tell you what's in it, and they'll give you a nice analysis pretty cheap. And you should be doing that every batch of beer until you can get your beer to 0 units, colony forming units. And once you can do that, then maybe you can back off and just do it every so many batches. But you should have a lab, and if you don't have a lab, you should be sending it out to a lab. And I think that's just part of the cost of brewing beer. Tell you a lot about it.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Because as you say, I think a lot of commercial beers have, mostly negligible levels of bacteria contamination. It's when conditions, change and favor the bacteria that it grows, then you have a spoiled batch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and that's why, traditionally the beer industry would sterile filter and pasteurize everything.
Right.
So it'd be pasteurized, put in the bottle. With all the craft brewers out here now, for example, we don't pasteurize or filter anything. And because of that, we need to make sure that we got 0 contamination, no bacteria, no wild yeast, 0 colony forming units is the way they measure it. But by industry standards, it's like 10 units is fine.
Yeah.
But you have to be 0 if you're not going to pasteurize it or sterile filter it. All right, next question.
Terry from Denver says he's been trying to pitch his Berliner Weiss beers at a lacto rate of about 3 to 5 times the number of yeast cells. He's not sure how to grow enough lacto. So here's the first specific question. Does lacto follow the same growth rate as yeast? So, for instance, will a 2-liter starter of lacto result in the same number of yeast cells as with Saccharomyces, assuming the same number of cells to start with? In other words, are the online yeast calculators valid for lacto?
I think no. I know somebody that could tell us, but I would think no, and I also think that the rate of growth is different as well. So the speed at which it happens and the amount of growth you get for a given substrate is going to vary. What do you think, John?
I have a feeling. I think you're right, but I don't know myself what those differences may be.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have enough background in that area.
Right.
All right, let's move on to another question he has. Any tips on lactose starters? I do mine at 100 degrees for 4 to 8 hours. Is that sufficient? Do they need yeast nutrient, oxygen, stir plate, etc.?
Lactose starters. Heat is definitely a friend. Stir plate definitely will help. Anything that distributes the cells in the starter is going to help them get access to the nutrients they need and move them away from any byproducts. If something you're looking at on a really tiny scale where they're surrounded by their waste, if it's perfectly still, they're surrounded by their waste, and then they lose access to more food. So if you stir it up, you dilute the waste and you give them more access to food. So, yes, stir plate, heat. What else was the question?
He was specifically 100 degrees for 4 to 8 hours. Is that sufficient?
Yeah, it depends on the lactose. Some strains grow. Each one has a peak temperature at which they'll grow. And I think if you ask your supplier, or if you know the specific strain, you could probably look it up on Google.
And yes, yeast nutrient?
I don't know that you would need necessarily yeast nutrient, but
couldn't hurt.
It couldn't hurt. As long as you did not go crazy with it. If you put too much zinc in there or magnesium or something like that, too much copper, whatever, that can suppress the growth, just like it can with the yeast. But since they also have cell membranes, I'm sure they could use a lot of the same things that yeast use in order to build those membranes. I'm sure all that is very similar.
So is there ever a time you shouldn't use yeast nutrient? Just across the board with brewing. Would you ever not use it?
I think it's a question of using too much.
Right. That would be the only worry.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just wondering why he even asks. Like, why would one assume you shouldn't use it?
Right. Well, because it's not yeast.
Oh, I see.
It's bacteria.
Okay, gotcha. All right, he has a couple more. How many lactose cells are in a Y-yeast or White Labs pack or vial? Do you know?
They go, I believe, on the bacteria, they're like 30 to 50 billion, something like that. On the yeast, they're like 1 to 120, and on the bacteria, I think they're 30 to 50. If I had to pull a number out of my ace.
All right. Well, he says that he's been looking for info on the subject all over the web, and he's found nothing on growth rates and conflicting info at best on lactose starters. So hopefully you clarified for him.
Okay. Well, and I'm email me and I will ask a PhD friend of mine who works with bacteria all the time.
There you go, Terry. Private email.
What the exact answers are on those things. I'm a little curious too. I have an idea. And I'm probably right, but who knows?
I should check the New American Sours book and see if there's anything on that in there.
I'm sure there is.
Or you could, phone into the Sour Hour and ask Jay.
Indeed, you can.
I should be texting Jay. Hey, Jay, what's the answer to this one?
He's like, I was going to ask you. All right, here's Kevin Nanzer. He said, I recently made an IPA with 100% Brettanomyces fermentation. It turned out great, and I was thinking of entering it into a competition. Any suggestions on the category? It's pretty clean, so it might make sense to just submit it under IPA. If I do that, should I declare Brett in the name, or should I just enter it in the specialty category, or what?
Well, anytime you're entering anything, you enter it as what it tastes like, not how you brewed it. So if you brew it and it doesn't taste like Brett at all, it just tastes like a good, clean IPA, then don't mention Brett. If you taste the Brett, then... and that's a big part of the flavor component, then definitely say Brett.
So let's say he can taste it, and he says, all right, I'm going to call it a Brett IPA. Should he still enter it in IPA or in specialty?
Specialty.
Specialty, probably.
Okay. So even if it's just a little bit of Brett, like enough's there for him to declare it, but it's...
Oh, yeah, because that would be thrown out as contaminated.
It would.
Regular
Okay.
IPA.
Yeah, it might be. That's your balancing act is, whether the judges can taste it or not. Are the judges' palates better than his or no? Sometimes people, they don't know what they're doing. They're like, oh, it tastes like this or that. Or you can get something really spectacular and clean, and they'll be like, oh, this is contaminated. It's like, sure it is.
Your palate's contaminated, right. Ace. Hey, tell me if you think this is against the brewer's code. What if Kevin entered the beer twice? And he entered one of them in specialty as a Brett IPA.
Right.
And he entered the exact same beer in IPA and just called it an IPA.
Yeah, as long as the competition allows for that, then there's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So allows for multiple entries?
Well,
because I'm saying he doesn't tell people it's the same beer.
Yeah, same beer in multiple categories. Most competitions do allow that.
Okay.
They don't allow for the most common thing disallowed is a brewer entering multiple beers in the same subcategory. So, like in Bock, there's regular Bock, Maibock, Doppelbock, Ice Bock. You could enter one in each of those categories, but you couldn't enter two Bocks.
Okay.
That's almost universally excluded.
Okay. Because people are trying the shotgun approach?
Right. You enter too many, and enter your best one in each subcategory.
Gotcha.
So usually, they're okay with entering into multiple categories because, on the one hand, it actually helps people educate people. You may not be sure, and by doing it and getting better results in one category than the other, it'll tell you, okay, you should think of that as a better IPA, not a better specialty. So there you go.
All right, here's one from Nick Mad MFer. It's an interesting name sent from his iPad. He says, firstly, I'm amazed and in awe of the work you both... smoke blowing. Thanks, Nick. I'm wondering the optimum pitching rate for a 100% WLP 644 fermented IPA. There's a blog he mentions, and he says, this blog lists a recipe citing optimum rate between an ale and a lager pitching rate around 150 billion cells. However, in the yeast book by White and Zane... whoever this guy is, they cite a rate of...
Homebrew and dog meat. Homeboy and dog meat or whatever.
It's my favorite morning show.
Yeah, Homeboy and dog meat.
You guys in the book cited a rate of 200,000 cells per milliliter.
Yeah. So 644 is like some strain of Brett, right?
He doesn't mention. He just says 644. Let me look it up.
Yeah, it sounds like a strain of Brett. And so... The pitching rate is going to depend on a number of things.
There is no single right answer for pitching rate, correct? There's a range.
If you go to MrMulti.com, there is. No.
Yeah, well, there's a range, and there's conditions that affect that range and performance. And, you can brew great beer with two different pitching rates, in other words.
True. Let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I will give you my spiel on pitching rates, and then I will explain what kind of pitching rate you might want to do with the Brett. Back right after this.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
BN Army, I'm here to talk seriously for a second. You all are partially responsible for something explosive, and it's time you answer for it.
Moonlight Meadery is exploding.
Yeah, exploding across the country. Wait, they just landed in Australia with insane quality meads.
With nearly 70 different varieties of mead on the market, Moonlight Meadery has blown up the mead category and completely reinvented it.
Seriously?
What?
Seriously?
What?
You're paying money for that watered-down mead when you could have a Moonlight mead?
Moonlight meads explode with quality and flavor.
They're a party in a bottle.
Did someone say party?
If you want mead and want the best, you want meads from Moonlight Meadery and will accept nothing less.
And now get 15% off by going to moonlightmeadery.com/BNArmy and use coupon code BNArmy at checkout.
Hey, sign me up for that party.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring Monk's Blood. Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry, Uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
Speaking about putting your testicles in something. Yes. Our fine sponsor, Adam and Eve. You got to check them out. AdamandEve.com. They've been sponsoring the show for a long time, so you don't have to. If you go there now, right now, and you use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, use my name at AdamandEve.com. Tell them I sent you. And in exchange for that, you're going to get yourself any one item at 50% off. You put that item in your cart, you use the offer code 50% off. That's all you're going to pay. They're going to give you free shipping. They're going to give you a free extra sensual gift. So sensual, I can't mention on internet radio. And you get to choose yourself 3 free adult DVDs, not just the, goat sex ones that nobody wants. Well,
they sell real big in the Arab world. Bestsellers over there.
Not just the goat sex ones. You're going to get to choose from categories such as anal, amateur, Asian, big breasts, big butts, bisexual, chunky, co-eds, fetish, lesbian, POV, MILFs, and I'm probably missing a few. But the point is, lots of great categories that you can choose from and choose the DVDs that you like to see. And even those are free. So check it out. AdamandEve.com. You can even do it from your mobile phone. Use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at AdamandEve.com and get yourself some goodie, one goodie at half price, and all the rest of that stuff is free. So it's a good deal. Check them out today. All right, so back to our Q&A questions.
Just to recap the question.
We were talking about
It was a Brett IPA question. This is right. Nick wondering the optimum pitching rate for 100% Brett fermented IPA.
Right. So on pitching rates, there, people talk about over pitching, under pitching. Whatever rate you determine gives you the best beer, or the desired results. That is the correct pitching rate. That is your correct pitching rate. Nobody can tell you you've underpitched or overpitched if the results you got was exactly what you wanted. Now, when we're all discussing, what rates are, we can have, general accepted rates that are used, 0.75 for ales, 1.5 for lagers. That's a pretty well accepted general standard for pitching ale and lager yeasts. And, it's a good starting point. And then you can go down from that or up from that. And if it gives you the best result, you found your rate. You're not over-pitching or under-pitching. You might be over-pitching or under-pitching relative to accepted industry standards. But it's not necessarily over-pitching or under-pitching. So like John's saying, there is no over-pitching or under-pitching. Now, when it comes to Brett, the question we had earlier where he brewed an IPA and it came out very clean using 100% Brett, The reason that did is most likely because he pitched way too much Brett, or a lot of Brett, or used Brett yeast at sack yeast rates. Because when you pitch a lot of Brett, there isn't a lot of growth. You don't get a lot of Brett flavor. Brett, like any other yeast, the more you stress it, the more you cause it to grow, the more you get these flavor compounds that come out of it. So if you want more Brett character, the answer to his question is, what's the correct pitching rate? In the yeast book, when we're talking about Brett, we're assuming you want to get Brett flavor. And Brett flavor, Vinny and some others, they say, like 200,000 cells is closer to, your correct rate than in the, in the millions. So you might, if it depends how much Brett flavor you want. So again,
in other words, Jamil, 0.2 versus 0.75.
Right.
Yeah, he says he's looking for fruity flavors. He's not wanting really more the horse blanket thing Brett can give you. But he says that his concerns about off flavors that maybe develop from over pitching. And he's basically just he's unsure about this level of cells present in his single vial, right? Like the yeast pellet at the bottom, he says, appears much smaller than other ale yeast vials.
On the Brett, they also do like 30 to 50 billion. They don't do. It's not the same as an ale or a lager yeast. So, and I think he's got it backwards. I think he's got it where he's thinking over pitching will cause more of these flavors. It can speed up the process of developing flavor, but and fermenting out the whole thing. But again, it'll turn out cleaner than if you pitch less and give it more time to really work to completion. That's the question he needs to answer for himself. Now, if he wants fruity and doesn't want all the other funky stuff that goes with it, he should be using a British ale yeast. That's going to give him fruity without all the other weird stuff. So there's a yeast for that, and that would be the choice. Wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, here's Casey from Castro Valley. He says he wish he caught the last Sour Show we did live, but he didn't hear this, and he's been struggling with a few things, and even though he's pretty sure we covered these topics, he says he's a real dumbass, and so please just go through it again. One, I constantly hear about the pellicle forming on the top layer, which I have on all three of my sours, but at the same time I hear about the importance of continually topping off the barrels with wort to reduce oxygen contact. How are both possible? If I keep topping it off with fresh wort, won't it just keep blowing out the pellicle? I've heard of adding marbles to bring the level up, works great, but that's just going to aerate the hell out of it, right?
Right. So the way that it's done in Belgium and the way that it's done at like Russian River, I believe, which I consider, one of the best breweries in the world, they will fill the barrels, let them get going. The barrels will start to recede, and then they will top them up once, and then they don't top them up ever again. And they let the pellicle, and part of it is so the pellicle does not get disturbed. Part of it is you'll get a little more oxygen in there. It's a whole series of things. You can top up, your vessel. When I use glass carboys, I'm trying to minimize the amount of surface area. I will fill them up into the neck, and then I'll keep topping it up into the neck. And then you really get, very little issue with oxygen. You get almost no oxygen issue there. If you let it recede back down or if you only fill it into the wider body of the carboy, then you're going to get more of that happening. Same thing happens in barrels. You can top them up to, where the bung is and have a very small pellicle, and you can keep it topped up to that. Or you can let it recede down and get a much wider pellicle. So that's the one that's going to affect you there. If you're very careful about adding more liquid to your vessel, just like adding marbles, marbles punch a hole in the pellicle too. So you can actually, if you're topping up, use a piece of vinyl tubing, you pierce it through the pellicle, and then you go ahead and run in your liquid, and the whole thing rises. And you really just have the one little small hole. You pull it back out, the pellicle will kind of form back around and fill in that spot. You just don't want to splash the surface and destroy the pellicle. The pellicle's essentially protecting the beer from oxygen.
What does it? I've seen a pellicle, but I've never actually touched it. What does it feel like? Is it? I'm serious. Does it if you just kind of barely touch it, does it break apart? How? Because it looks hard visually, right?
Yeah, it can be pretty resilient. It's it'll break up into chunks. It's not hard, but I know what you mean. It kind of looks like almost a coating on a cheese or something like that.
Like you might be able to pick it up in one piece.
Right. Yeah, you can pick up bits of it, but it breaks apart fairly easy. It depends what's forming the pellicle and how aggressively it has. But the amount of oxygen that gets in, that's the issue really. And if you break up that pellicle, or if you dump a lot of oxygen in there, you're going to get, even with the Brett, you're going to get some acetic acid, which is a no-no. You don't want it to be like vinegar. You want it to be like, more like lactic. More like a lemon or something like that.
Casey goes on to say that he has heard you two say that you do not want to age the beer on top of the yeast cake. But if you inoculate a barrel with critters and then you fill the barrel with sack fermented beer, it's going to build a population while it attenuates the rest of the beer down. Let's say from 1015 to 1002. Is that population minimal enough not to worry about? Or one step further, doing primary with Brett Lactopedie like Roeselare, do you still need a secondary for that sort of thing?
Yeah, and on Roeselare and others, what I tell people is, if you look at the carboy, whatever stages you've done, and there's a layer of yeast on the bottom, like you've fermented a regular beer, you need to get it off of that because it's too much. I mean, you can allow a little bit of breakdown of the yeast, but if you allow a lot of breakdown of the yeast, it's going to get that meaty, brothy, autolyzed yeast thing going.
Yeah.
So what I would usually do when I use the Roeselare is let it go through its initial fermentation, let that yeast flock out to the bottom, and then when the beer drops bright, go ahead and rack it to a next vessel. All the yeast hasn't dropped out yet, but what's left is okay. So I would start in a 6.5 gallon carboy, and I'd rack it to a 5 gallon carboy, so you could fill it up all the way into the neck, and then avoid the oxygen as much. You don't want to totally avoid it, but I'd put on a loose carboy cap, and those things leak like a sieve. So
here's another Brett question. This one's from Latney Blunk. He said, will Brett eventually clean up any acetic acid it creates? And also, how do you limit acetic production in a Brett starter?
I don't think it will clean up acetic acid at all. That would be my...
I think that's correct, yes.
Somebody, there may be some way that could possibly happen, but I don't think so at all. And then, the reason you're getting acetic in the starter, especially like a stirred starter, there's a lot more air going in, and the more air, oxygen that Brett gets, if you get it to a certain point of oxygen, Brett will produce acetic acid. Acetic acid, that's that vinegar thing. So if you're doing starters with Brett and you get a lot of acetic in it, I would let the cells drop out, put in the fridge, let those settle out, decant off the starter wort, then add it to a non-stirred, non-oxygenated starter, and let it grow up again, and then pitch that instead.
All right, there's another one about bottling with Brett. You want to take the final break and then come back and do this?
Yeah, let's take one more break, and then we'll come back and finish up with fun with Brett after this.
In a world where everything has been lost.
What happened to the city? It's in ruins.
Only one man has the ancient ancient knowledge to restore civilization.
I need a drink. Oh no, the liquor store's been ransacked.
You looking for beer, stranger? Boy, all the liquor got drunk up in the first 25 minutes of the apocalypse.
Wait, there's still some bottles over... Oh, no. Those are non-alcoholic beer.
I reckon you better stick to arrowroot tea and a desperate nomadic existence like the rest of us.
People, I'm a home brewer. I know how to make alcohol.
Oh, it can't be done.
Come with me if you want the beer. Okay, I'm gonna need some big plastic buckets.
He is the chosen one. The prophecies say that he's gonna get us wasted.
Someone start heating water. And
From the creators of Northern Brewer, the people who brought you massive selection and superior customer service, comes the Home Brewer.
Hi, I'm Jamil Zainasheff, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew. Are you a member of the American Homebrewers Association? Well, you should be. Members of the AHA can focus on brewing beer, and the AHA takes care of the rest. The American Homebrewers Association advocates on behalf of homebrewers like you to legalize the hobby in all 50 states and make sure that beer laws make sense. Plus, there are many great benefits that come with your AHA membership, like pub discounts that give you awesome deals at bars, restaurants, breweries, and more. Zymergy Magazine and eZymergy for tons of articles, how-tos, easy-to-follow recipes, and news about the hobby you love. And access to the members-only content on homebrewersassociation.org. But the AHA can't do it without your support. Join today so the American Homebrewers Association can keep fighting for your home brewing rights. Visit homebrewersassociation.org or join right now from the homepage of the Brewing Network website. Relax. Don't worry. It's the American Homebrewers Association.
Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lalamond and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lalamond and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2015 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2015 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth almost $4,000. From now until December 13th, 2014, every Danstar yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter.
Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar 2015 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lalamond Premium Brewing Yeast and enter to win.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry. And to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's It's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com.
Coupon code BNARMY.
I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Like the Lance Armstrong of the beer world. Except for that nut thing.
This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're doing a live Q&A show about Brett and lacto and all the goodies like that people like to use or people might be afraid of as well. And one of the things, a good learning resource is AHA's Zymergy magazine. And when you sign up to be a AHA member, you can do that through the Brew Network site, by the way. When you sign up for that, you get the Zymergy magazine. You get access to their forums. You get the Homebrewers Conference where you learn a lot. And you get to see people like John Palmer. Scott, are you going to be there at the conference this year?
Oh, hell yeah.
There you go. And I'll be there. And John Blickman will be there. And all that good stuff. But the most important thing you get from the AHA is somebody looking out for homebrewers and making sure that homebrew continues to be legal. And when weird laws get passed that screw with our rights as homebrewers to share beer amongst each other, they're all on top of it.
And old laws, like a lot of archaic code exists since Prohibition, and a lot of just undoing old stupid laws.
Right.
It's amazing the work they do.
So that's a lot of work, and it's good to have an organization that's kind of looking out for that. So on that aspect alone, I think it's worth being a member. I'm a lifetime member.
Did they give you some sort of honorary lifetime membership, or is there an option to sign up for a lifetime membership?
There's an option to sign up for a lifetime membership. Yep. I don't know how long they will continue to sell those, but it's a good deal. I mean, if you're old like me, at this point, it would not be a good deal. At your age, I'm sure you're going to live long and prosper. I think it would be a good deal for you.
Yeah.
So the younger you are, the more valuable it is to buy that lifetime membership, I think.
Maybe get one for your kids, you homebrewers out there with young kids.
That's right.
Start them young.
2 years old, it's like college fund, homebrew membership. College fund, homebrew. Son, I got you a lifetime homebrew membership.
Hey, these days, college is more and more bullcrap by the year. Get them the AHA membership.
There you go.
I know you're potty training. Here's something to read.
Right. Hey, the Zymergy. Here's an article by Palmer.
Nice.
All right. You can sign up through the Brewing Network website. You go to thebrewingnetwork.com. There's an AHA logo there. You click on that. You sign up through that, and a little slice of that membership goes back to the Brewing Network and helps pay for shows like this. All right. Let's wrap this up with maybe one more question.
Yeah, this is Shane from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He says, love the show. Hoping you guys could take some time to get some information about bottling with Brett, especially when you fermented the batch with sack. Should you just pitch the Brett in with your priming sugar, and in what amount to carbonate properly? And then also, do you pitch in as much priming sugar as you would normally without the Brett? Since Brett can eat sugars and such that normal yeast cannot.
That's an excellent question, and like many answers, it depends. If you are patient, you need very little Brett. When it is when you're doing like a 5-gallon batch of beer and you're using an ale yeast, you might use like a fifth of a 20 billion cells, a billion per liter of ale yeast. When it's Brett, the Brett will continue to work like you say. So if you want quick carbonation, like you get with ale yeast, then I would say pitch the 20 billion cells, the billion per liter. If you are going to take time, then I would say you could pitch, about 200,000 per mil. So you could cut that way down as well.
I kind of wonder, though, if Brett priming might lead to some strong phenolic flavors in the beer that may be tough to get rid of.
Well, it depends on what they want.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you want the Brett character or not, I mean, I'm guessing they're doing like an Orval clone or something like that, maybe. And they're trying to get the Brett in there over time. So in that case, I would pitch very little. In that case, a vial of Brett from White Labs would be too much for a full 5-gallon batch. I mean, I'd use maybe a fifth of that.
So does the Brett, does it rip through the priming sugar, or does it eat it slowly?
It will go through the priming sugar. It'll go about as fast as ale yeast will through the priming sugar. Now, the other question he had was, the thing is, if you pitch a little bit, it takes them longer to get through that. And in some yeast, they just won't get the job done. With Brett, like he's saying, it will consume a lot of the other sugars and stuff like that. So it depends on where the beer has finished, how much residual there is in the beer itself. If it's something that finished out at, 6 Plato or something like that, you're probably going to end up with bottle bombs. So even if you don't add any priming sugar.
Okay.
If it's something that finished out at, at 1 Plato, like Cousin, it finished as 1.5 Plato. 1.006. You could toss Brett in that, and it barely carbonate. Assume that whatever remaining sugars you have in there will eventually all be consumed. So it'll go down to, sorry, it'll go down to 1.000 or 0.996 or whatever. It'll go down.
So just the last part of his question, and you address it, but just to put a finer point on it, how much Brett character he'll be getting when he uses it just as the bottling yeast? Like, is it even worth it?
I think it's worth it. Again, like we're talking, you're doing an Orval or something like that. Over time, with a small amount of Brett and given enough time, the beer definitely changes. Because keep in mind, you're not taking a little bit of Brett character and dumping it into a beer that has all this other stuff going on with all these sugars and all this other richness going on. What's happening? I mean, you are initially. But what's going to happen is a lot of that's going to get consumed. And that richness and all that other masking character is going to disappear. And that Brett character is going to come forward even more. Even that little bit of Brett character is now going to become more and more evident. Yeah. So that's one of the effects of Brett consuming the rest of those sugars. So, I think it's worth doing. Absolutely. I'd be careful. If you're starting out with this, I would not, package this in standard weight bottles. I'd package them in high carbonation bottles that can stand, 4 volumes, or put it in a keg that has a pressure relief in it, and do it that way.
All right, there you go. That's the Wild Ale Show, or Wild Yeast Show,
or Brett and Lacto, or whatever we call it. Yeah. Another fine show. Like all of these, I mean, we're really knocking it out of the park, and that's because I've been stabbed with the big needle.
Yes, we have character.
And what was the other thing that made me healthy? Oh, mental. I sneeze hard.
Yes,
it shows mental health.
Right,
I have good mental health.
I couldn't think of it because it's just a direct result of the needle. It all comes back to that.
All comes back to the needle. If you want your kids to be healthy and confident and strong, apparently you just get yourself an old-timey needle off of eBay.
And just general abuse will work.
Just every once in a while, just jab them with a needle.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. You should never have kids, Moscow. I'm just saying. Never. Never, ever should you have children.
So far, so good.
Right. I think. Yeah, absolutely. All right, and if you enjoy this show and want to hear more, make sure you check out our fine sponsors, Blickman Engineering, BlickmanEngineering.com. Check out the Brewing Network store. Lots of goodies in there. When you buy that stuff, the profits go to the bottom line of the Brewing Network and help shows like this. Until then, everybody, brew strong.
Brew strong.